If you're looking for a super quick, super easy, and super crispy pizza, then this recipe is just for you. It's also pretty cheap to make, so depending on where you are, you can substitute some of the ingredients to make it even cheaper. If you are new to the channel, my name is James. I've been cooking for many years in the United States and over here in Europe, and I have plenty of other videos and recipes and reaction videos on my YouTube channel. So if you do happen to enjoy my content, then be sure to give the video a like and a share, but most importantly, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. Now, let's get started. As many of you may know, working all day in the kitchen is something that's very stressful, and a lot of chefs, the last thing they want to do when they go home is to cook. So a quick cheat on how to cook a pizza, if you are even going to cook anyway and not just buy a frozen one, is to actually use a pre-made dough. Today we're going to be using puff pastry. Now, why puff pastry? One, it's super light and flaky, so it's very nice, so it's not very heavy because a lot of doughs tend to be super heavy, especially if you don't roll them out. It's cheap, easy to get, and it's pretty tasty. The only thing is that it's a little fattening, so you can't make this pizza too often. First thing, we're gonna turn our oven on bake, and I'm gonna turn it up to about 200 Celsius. We're gonna take out our oven tray from our extremely teeny little oven. It's a teeny oven. I can barely fit a turkey in this oven. I mean, just look at the size of it. Pathetic. Why do we want to change the parchment paper? This is another important little thing. Normally, when puff pastry comes all rolled up, it's in parchment. They're separating the pieces so they don't stick to each other. The problem is that if you don't change the parchment, it's wet and it will stick. So when you cook it, you won't be able to separate it. It'll tear on you. You want to take the puff pastry out a few minutes before just so it won't break on you. This is important because if it breaks and you're gonna have cracks in your dough. Now we're gonna stick this in the oven and pre-bake this off first. Why? Because if we don't, then the bottom may not be super crispy and you may get a bit of a soggy pizza, and that's not nice. And especially in my oven, which doesn't cook very good to begin with and it's teeny, I need to do it. Otherwise I end up with a soggy pizza. We're going to cook this until it starts to brown a little bit and it puffs up. Once you see that, we're gonna take it out, let it cool down. We're gonna flip it, stick it back in the oven, and repeat the process. That way both sides are crispy, and when we add the wet ingredients, they won't make the pizza soggy. Hi Simba, what a hard life today, no? You're waiting for the pizza? Oh, watching the house is a lot of work, isn't it? Now for the ingredients. Today we're just gonna make a very easy and simple pizza, but if you want to change the ingredients, then be my guest. If you want to add some sun-dried tomatoes, if you want to add bacon and blue cheese or anything else, then do it with your pizza and experiment, because the best thing about cooking is that you never stop learning. Just don't stick any mango chutney or chili jam on it. Well, then again, to think about it, it may not be that bad on a pizza. Don't tell Vincenzo I said that.
Oh my god.
Now, to make sure that our cutting board doesn't slip, you want to get a little piece of paper or nothing to put that under it so it doesn't move as much. And now we're going to julienne the onion. Now technically, when you're julienning any like bell peppers, you want to do it this way with the skin on the bottom. That way it's much easier for the knife to slice. But when you have a super sharp knife, you can do it the easier way, because I've cut myself multiple times in the kitchen doing it this way. Also, if you get a little better, it's a good idea to stack them. That way it saves time when you cut. I'm gonna slice this on the bias and cut. And we're going to be adding some oyster mushrooms as well today, just to use them up. Just going to take off the ends here. We don't want the stem. And with oyster mushrooms, you can slice them like normal, so you get nice thin slices, or you can do it by hand. So you just pull them apart, just like this. A little tedious, but it's the proper way on breaking these down. And oyster mushrooms have a very nice, almost nutty flavor. Now that after you've prepped all the ingredients, we're going to saute them quick. That way we cook the ingredients first and we won't have to cook them in the oven. If we were to cook these in the oven with a normal oven, your pizza is going to be very soggy and your puff pastry will burn. Because we don't have a pizza oven, it's not the best thing. So when you're at home, the best thing to do is to pre-cook the ingredients and then add them to the pizza and basically just melt the cheese, reheat the pizza, and that's it. Now when the oil comes up to temp, it's already starting to smoke, but you'll start seeing ripples and it'll be fragrant. This is when we add the ingredients. Never add the ingredients towards you with hot oil because you'll splash yourself. We want to cook these hot and fast, so make sure that the pan is hot and don't overcrowd it. Right now this is at its limit. You don't want to add any more ingredients than what you have here. Now a way to make this cook faster is to actually put the lid on it, and this will help sweat the ingredients more, and then we will reduce the liquid. Be sure to periodically check it so it doesn't burn, and if you notice that it's starting to burn a little bit and the pan's too hot, you can add a dash of water just to bring the temperature down. The idea is to cook this as quickly as possible, not burn it. After a few minutes of cooking and you notice that everything is reduced in the pan, we are going to add the mushrooms. We're going to add these last to saute. Now, if you have some fresh thyme or if you have any other herbs that you want to add to this, feel free to do so. My little thyme plant just died recently because it's been super sunny and I don't have any fresh thyme. So now I have to use dried. And once the mushrooms are done sauteing, normally I would deglaze the pan with a little bit of white wine. But last night I drank it, so I don't have any white wine today to deglaze with. It happens. You can use just a little bit of water if you want to deglaze with. Just a bit, not too much. And that helps remove all the other flavors that are stuck to the pan. And if you burnt the pan, you don't want to do that, but if you didn't burn the pan, it's worth doing. Today I'm going to be using some bufala mozzarella. This is the real stuff. Straight from Italy. You want to drain the liquid. And now since this cheese has a lot of liquid still in it, we want to get rid of it. So what I like to do is to cut this in half, set it aside. You can see the liquid already building up. And we're just going to squeeze it. It's not the prettiest thing, and it's also a little messy, but it's effective. So get a couple pieces of paper towel, lay that on the cutting board as such, and press down. Bufala mozzarella, it comes from buffalo milk, water buffalo milk, and it's very tasty. The problem is that the real stuff is also very liquidy. So if you don't do this, you end up with a lot of water on your pizza. Now guys, this is the moment that if you want to change the recipe and you want to add a little bit of chicken, beef, pork, whatever it may be, now is the moment to do it. Cook the meat off, slice it, cut it. If you even want to use deli cuts, anything easy, now's the moment to use it, because otherwise you're going to make a veggie pizza.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!
Now you can see our little puff pastry is all nice and crispy. This is very flaky, very fatty too. So you can also add a very thin layer of tomato sauce to this just so you don't make the pizza soggy. But I'm going to show you what they do here in Catalonia. They take this little tomato, which is called cogar tomato. And cogar basically means to hang. It's a very overly ripe little tomato. Spread a little bit of this on. Spread everything out nice and even. You came by to say hi, didn't you? Who's your good boy, huh? Or what? My hands smell like onions, don't they? I'm gonna add a little bit of tuna. I know this may seem weird to a lot of people, but tuna pizzas are actually quite popular here in Spain. It's one of the options, and it's just quick and easy. Right, now that we've layered everything, we're going to stick this in the oven and basically just melt the cheese. Nothing else. You can get a little color on it if you'd like, but everything's cooked. And this is the beauty of cooking all the ingredients beforehand, that we don't have to wait for everything to finish in the oven. Now while that's cooking, we're going to prep some chives. If you wrap them in a damp towel, and I've said this many times in the past, it keeps the herbs a little longer. And you want to pick through them. Yeah, you don't want to be using some yellow chives. This is not good. Slice these in half. Now after it comes out of the oven, you want to let it rest. And we're going to grate some fresh grana padano on it because I don't have any pecorino. And when you add the basil, you can actually rip this with your hands. You don't need to slice it. It's also a better idea to add this to the pizza when it's a little cooler. That way the basil doesn't turn black. All right, now taste test time. I already know how it tastes because I make this often, but in any case, just take a little piece, cut off the end. This is my lunch, by the way. This is one pizza that doesn't last in the fridge, just to like warn you, because it turns a little soggy. So it's best to eat, it's best to eat it when you make it. Okay, well that's tasty. Me personally, I'm gonna add some chili flakes to this, or maybe a little bit of sriracha, because I like spicy food. In any case, it's delicious. Vincenzo, if you do review this, take it easy on me, okay? This isn't a traditional pizza, but it is a very tasty, easy, and cheap pizza that you can easily make at home and modify. The good thing about this recipe, though, is as you can tell, I have very few dishes. I only have the sauté pan, the baking tray, some knives and forks here, and the cutting board. And please guys, if you do make this recipe, do me a favor and let me know how it is in the comments below. And if you do happen to enjoy it, then that's all that matters. Truly, I'll be happy. And of course, if you also hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, I'll be even happier because it helps out the video and also the channel a lot, which means a lot to me. Until next time guys, take care and let me know if you want any other recipes or reaction videos to react to in the comments below, and I will be sure to accommodate if I can. Until then, take care.
Amor en tu mente, gozándonos la vida es más que